So, the power of unanswered prayer. I want to share this quick thought with you. One of the things that I have learned over my 49 years is that there really is power in unanswered prayer. One of the things, and probably one of the most difficult lessons I've had to learn, is how to not focus on my will, but God's will. It's one thing to be passionate about something. It's another thing for it to be a God-given passion. It's one thing to want to pursue something that's righteous, something that can lead to wealth and prosperity in your life, to open a business, to go back to school, to get into a relationship, to get married. It's another thing to seek God's will for your life. One of the most difficult lessons I've had to learn how to do is to seek God first, to not let my own selfish ambitions drive me. One of the greatest tricks of the enemy is ambition. Or he'll have you thinking that you're being ambitious and going after your dreams and goals, when really it's a distraction to keep you from pursuing God's will and purpose for your life. So over time, I have learned that there is power in unanswered prayers. Let me give you a couple of examples of the power of unanswered prayers in my own life. I'm divorced now, some 10 years. And in that process, before the divorce happened, I was praying and asking God to fix the marriage, to restore the marriage, only for God not to answer that prayer. That answered prayer set me alone in disappointment and despair, and even some seasons of depression. But if it's not for that unanswered prayer, the strength and the lessons that God would give me and teach me, I would not have. My perspective on life now, the philosophy in which I live my life by now, is all because of the unanswered prayer that God chose not to answer, because he's so gracious and he knew what his will was for my life. My friends, it's important that you don't get discouraged through the process of praying. And one of the ways you don't get discouraged is understand that God is not going to answer all your prayers the way you want them to be answered. Because see, here's the deal. He knows what the end is for us. He knows where he's taking us. And he understands the disappointment, the despair, the pain, the brokenness that will be necessary to get us to that place. I'm at a place of power in my life spiritually, emotionally, because of pain, prayer, and sacrifice. Being willing to not have to have things go my way, but being willing to submit to the complete will of God. And understand that the brokenness and pain that I may be experiencing at that moment would get me to a place of power and closer to God. Another situation, lesson, through unanswered prayer for me was losing a bid for office 3 times. I prayed before I ran for those seats. I believed God was telling me to run. He did tell me to run. I want you to hear me now. But it was never about winning. I didn't know that then, but I do now. It was never about winning. It was about the preparation process in running. You see, it was what I learned through the process that's given me a new empathy for leadership and community. It's what I learned through the process that has helped me shape a philosophy for community development. Because had I not went through that process, I would not understand and know some things now that I know. I would not have some of the relationships today had I not ran. And then the other thing is, it's important for people to see how you handle losing. How do you take an L? See, God had to teach me, because I was a very arrogant man, how to lose and still win. He had to show me through loss, through disappointment, that he's still God in the midst of. See, I didn't understand that, right? I thought if I pray for it and I'm diligent in my prayers and sincere in my heart, which I was, that God would answer in the affirmative. That's not so. Because what's more important than God answering your prayers is God molding and building you into the person that he would have you to be. And understand that he will do that by any means necessary, even through unanswered prayers. And then lastly, many people would come to me and say, pray for my healing of my mother, my son, my brother, my father, as they'd been stricken with illness. And in the midst of me praying for their healing, God would make clear to me that he was not going to answer that prayer. And he had me edit my prayer. My prayer was, Father, give them peace and understanding to handle whatever the outcome is. See, sometimes, my friends, as we pursue God and we pray, and we want one thing, he will clearly show us that that thing is not going to happen. But he'll give us the wisdom to edit that prayer. There have been a few people in my life that were sick unto death. And I can remember praying to God, running on the mornings that I would run, the evenings I would run. God, heal them. And God started showing me that he was not going to heal them, but that sickness was to death. And then I would immediately start to pray, Lord, give me strength to handle their death. Give the family strength to handle the death. Those are hard edits to make in a prayer when you want life for your loved one, healing for your loved one. But it was through those unanswered prayers that I learned that God is a sustainer. that God will heal your broken heart. That grieving is a process, and that there is lesson and power in the pain of someone passing. Oh, tough lesson to learn, but a necessary lesson for me. I've learned to wait. I've learned to watch. I've learned to stop focusing on my will and focusing on his will, because that's the power of an unanswered prayer. As always, my friends, serve, care, and love. Enjoy your day.